Hello. Today I wanted to talk about discernment. And I know that, growing up in church, you know, um, I can remember, the pastor talking about discernment, and you have to have a discerning spirit. And, you know, as an adult, I'm seeing full fledged what that means to have discernment. And I didn't just discover it. It's just that now I'm really able to digest it to a point where I can exercise it, like a weapon. It's definitely a tool that we should exercise regularly. Pull it up out of your toolbox. And discernment is, just me putting my own words. I didn't look the word up, but being able to, you know, uh, recognize a person's true motives, to know uh, who they really are. You ask the spirit to reveal to you who the people are that you have in your circle. Who you planning to do business with. Um, the issue for me is that I didn't exercise discernment until after, I had experienced some heartache, some disappointments or whatever. Um, but it's best that, if you can use the discernment ahead of time, like when you first, meeting a person or coming into a certain situation, to see if this relationship or this situation or this business transaction, if it's in your best interest. And what I found is that when I approach situations or people or whatever with discernment in mind, things were revealed to me. You hear people talk about red flags. Um, you'll see things, you'll hear things. Will actually tell you, certain things about themselves to let you know who you're dealing with. Now, the key is just like anything else. We can see red flags, but the thing is what are you going to do about it? And the same thing with discernment. Discernment is just the gift that is given to you to allow you to see these things, to hear these things, to know ahead of time so that you don't have to go down a road of heartache and pain. And so when discernment really became, you know, a a gift that was in the forefront of my mind that I really began to exercise is, you know, um, it was a point in my life where I was making a shift. And I can't, just how things, different things happen in your life and you start to want to make changes and do things differently so you can get a different outcome. And that's where I was in my life. And I knew that I had people around me that I was just kind of like dealing with or putting up with because I didn't have another group of friends or people to hang around with or to do things with or to be in a relationship with, you know. So you kind of put up with things. But it had got to a point as I was making this shift in my life that, I couldn't just go through the motions anymore. It could not be, it's like, it would not be ignored. My spirit would not allow me to continue to be in the presence of people that I knew that didn't mean me any good or that was using me or talking behind my back or you know just little things that when I started to look back I was like, hey, just because I've known this person for 10, 15, 20 years, that doesn't mean that they're my friend. there's a such thing as being loyal to a fault. And I was loyal to a fault because, I'm looking at how much time, has passed since I've known this person. And the I'm looking at this so-called friendship from my point of view of, how I've been there for that person, and or things we've done together. But I couldn't really, when I really thought about it, I really couldn't say, hey, this person was here for me when I really needed somebody, or this person, when something good happened for me, they celebrated with me and they lifted me up. I couldn't say that. When was really going good for me, I didn't get a pat on the back or a celebration at all. But what I will say, if something was not going well with me, they was willing to hear that. And I took that as, oh, this my friend, they there for me. But it wasn't to give me any good advice. It was more like to one up me, like, oh oh well, you just when I say what I'm going through, oh, you just, you preaching to the choir. Oh, I already been through that. Oh, well, you ain't the only one going through something like that. You know, it was it was just at the time I really didn't look at it as this person is really not there for me, you know. Even when I told them something that was really painful, it almost seemed like they took an opportunity to kind of kick me while I was down, but not so like, kick me in the teeth where it's plain and clear. It's more like a little subtle kick, you know, just sneak one in. And that'll look like, say, you know, yeah, just going back to one up you, or to downplay what you're going through, or compare their situation with your situation to the point where it's like what you're going through at the time doesn't even matter. Um, and one of the things I noticed was, if I had a major accomplishment or something went well, like, you know, like on my job, or maybe, getting a new home, having my first home or whatever, um just whatever the case may be, where it was a major accomplishment for me, where I was really happy and I was proud and wanted to share it. And this person, act like it was barely anything, like, oh, okay. It was no, oh wow, that's good, that's a major accomplishment. I'm looking for this person to celebrate me like I would celebrate them. And that's where I was wrong. You know, I was looking for somebody to be like me, and this person was far from being like me. And I couldn't believe how long I was oblivious to it. And the thing was is that I I look back and I was like, this person gave backhanded compliments, or when people was around, if somebody gave me a compliment or whatever, they had something, to say, you know. I can remember one time speaking to someone about, purchasing a vehicle, and this friend of mine accompanied me, but in the midst of it, um, they had to say something underhanded about me, purchasing a vehicle that had nothing to do with the conversation. And really, they had no reason to even say anything because they weren't buying a vehicle, and the salesperson wasn't even talking to them. But I guess this person and I having this conversation and they're not included, then it's just like, oh, well, I got to say something in here to, that'll put some, you know, egg on her face, you know. And when she did that, the salesman looked at me and I'm looking at her, and I really had to say something to her about it, you know, because it was hurtful and it was a shock, but it was so blatant. And from that point on, they never did it so blatantly anymore, but it was more covert, more underhanded, and it wasn't all bad, because I think that's the thing that keeps you, you know, um, dealing with them, is because, they can show you some nice side of them, but it's only to a degree. It's like because it serves a purpose for them. And I noticed that for this particular friend, um, so-called friend, um, they would do this kind of thing because, yeah, because they was jealous. And I knew that, but I didn't want to accept that. And even if they couldn't one up me, they'd say something like, so, oh yeah, well, oh, um, oh, you got that new truck? Oh yeah. My so and so, my cousin, my daddy, my whoever, got the same kind of truck. You know, just trying. They don't have it, but they can point out somebody else that do. Oh yeah, my friend, she doing this, and she's doing it even better. Cause she got this going on and she got that going on. So it's like, even if I'm doing something that she's not doing, and she can't personally one up me, she'll come up with a story where she knows somebody who's doing it better than I'm doing it. You know, or that, oh, they did it and they did it before me. You know, anything to just kind of like put salt on it. And I used to just distance myself from the person and not talk to them for a while, just go off and, you know, get into my other little circle of people that I deal with. And but I kept, allowing myself to get, back into relations with this person, sim- simply because I'm thinking about how much time I've known this person. That really doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all if they're not celebrating you, if they're not supporting you, if they're not there when you really need them. It doesn't matter how long you've known a person, and if they're doing things to you that you wouldn't do to them, and you're you're there for them, and they throw it in your face how they're there for somebody else, but whenever you needed them, they weren't there. That kind of, you can't let that stuff slide. You can't let that stuff, that kind of thing slide. You know, um, you both have you both have children, and you know you're there for things that they got going on, or but they can tell you, oh, I went to so and so's child, this or that or that or that, but you say I'm your best friend, but you wasn't there for anything for my kids. You never offered to help me with my kids. You never uh went out of your way to do anything for my children. And not that I needed that, but why come back and tell me what you did for somebody else, but you ain't never done it for me? But I'm your best friend. It was kind of like, I'm just gonna let you know that I did this for some, for so and so. Just it's almost like try to make you jealous of their other friends, like creating a triangle. But then these are the same friends that they'll talk about to you, and then next thing you know, they chumming it back up with them. Best believe if they're coming to talk to you about somebody that they just like this with, okay, because they done had some little riff and they come back to you and start talking to you. That's how it was. You over here with them like this, but now they done kick you to the curb. You come back to me and want to talk to me about them. I'm telling you, a person that does that, they're gonna talk about you to the other people or somebody else. Okay, if they over here and these people then brought them into their circle and allowed them to be around their family and all of this, and they can come back and talk bad about them, baby, they gonna talk bad about you too. They gonna talk bad about you too. Now, all of this is can be chalked up as discernment. So when you ask for discernment, you better be ready for it, because the universe will reveal to you what the truth is. Now it's up to you what you're going to do with it once it's revealed to you, but it'll be revealed to you. It'll be revealed to you. And you see these people, I'm telling you, as soon as you scope them out, I didn't have to, call them out or whatever. Guess what? I exited stage left. I just politely just slid on out the door and continued on doing my own thing. And when I don't call you and I don't I'm not calling to check up on you like I used to, then you'll see. And guess what? When I stop calling them and reaching out to them, guess what? They ain't call me either. They didn't call me either. They didn't call to say, hey girl, I was just calling to check on you. I ain't heard from you in a while. We used to be in a talk by now. I didn't call them, and guess what? They didn't call me. And we ain't never had no words about it or nothing. But, the last time that I was in their presence, they did some little shady, underhanded stuff, in the presence of some other people. And I just kind of like, you know, peep what it was. And I got on up out of there. It wasn't no words said. It wasn't nothing. I just like, And when I left, I just left and I never looked back. And I think at that particular time, they knew that I knew. You know what I'm saying? GPG, game peep game. Oh yeah, I peeped it. And she know I peeped it. And that's why she ain't never called me either. And as I, was, you know, going through what I was going through and making this shift in my life, I'm looking around me, and that's not the only person I had to cut off. I had to cut off a couple people, and and don't didn't have no problem with telling them why. But this particular person, we haven't had that conversation. And just because you're not friends with a person don't mean you got to be their enemy. And you don't have to be so quick to tell them that you peep their game, or you done thought about the situation and you know that they've been up to, they've been full of crap. You don't, I didn't, you don't even have to do that. You know what I'm saying? It'll come to a point where, you'll have time to think about it and process it. And then when you say what you got to say, because it might be that you don't even have to say anything. Because, it's been almost 2 years now, and I haven't had to say anything, but I've had plenty of thought, surrounding the situation because I was really pissed. I was really pissed after I really, stopped and thought about the people that I had around me and how they betrayed me and how long it been going on. I was pissed. I was so pissed at them. And then I realized they couldn't do anything that you didn't allow. And as much as I was as pissed off at them, I turned it to myself. I had to turn it around to myself. And I was so mad at myself. Ooh! I wanted to kick my own self in the butt for allowing someone for so many years, to disrespect me and show me that they weren't my friend. And I'm still being loyal to them. I had to ask myself, well, why are you doing that? And that's another video. Because no one could do it, not in every situation, but because there's some situations where you weren't in control. But in most instances, and if you're in a relationship and you've been there for some time, whether it's a friendship, family, work, whatever, if it's not working and you still there, you got to ask yourself, what were you getting out of it? Why were you still there? And one of the things I realized that I was getting out of that particular so-called friendship was that sometimes it was because there was no one else that did the things I was interested in doing. So this person was someone who, if I wanted to do certain things, they was down, and like going out and drinking and all these things. But when I was getting ready to pull away from those things, I realized that that's really all we had in common. And I could see how even that was used to be manipulative, because if they had someone that they was, another one of their little circle of friends that they was upset with, and they knew that they was gonna be stepping out with their friends, but they didn't invite her, she'll call me. But see, I don't normally be in a circle that, I know these people, but I don't, be in a circle like that. We just acquaintances. So she'll ask me, and then we get to the club or whatever, and then I see, so and so them up in here. And after that happened maybe 2 or 3 times, I realized that. And then she wasn't speaking to him. She seen me in the club, but she didn't speak to him when really they normally be together. And I realized that she was calling me because she wanted to rub it in their face that, oh, just because y'all didn't invite me don't mean that, I don't have nobody to go with. But I'm telling you, if I hadn't went with her, she wouldn't have went. And I can see really how weak the person really was. I could see how weak they really were, because they're not the one to stand on their own. For me, I don't have no problems with being on my own, you know. But this person, they got to have somebody around them, They bouncing around from people to people, but in order to do that, she's got to tell this story over here and tell this story over there, to get back in good graces, or to have something to talk about. Why you how did my name come up in y'all conversation? You know what I'm saying? And my name came up about as easy as it did for somebody else's name to come up when me and that person was talking. It's just something to do. Is hey, so that I bond with you, I'll talk about somebody else's business that we both know, and that was like a bonding. Oh yeah, well, so hey, what happened with you and so and so? Why y'all ain't friends no more? Y'all ain't kicking it like that no more? Oh, I don't fool with them like that. I be to myself. No, that's not it. And like I say, when I really stop and analyze, you know, all of these situations where I let things slide, I was upset with myself because I did have the discernment. It was there, but I didn't act on it. I didn't act on it. And when I was tired of dealing with, betrayal and anxiety and wondering who I can trust, you don't have to wonder who you can trust. When it's revealed to you that you shouldn't trust certain people, get them out of your life. It's simple. It's hard, but it's simple. It's going to be the best thing you ever done for yourself. Because a lot of the anxiety come from being in a situation that you shouldn't be in. Your body telling you, hey, and now let's just say this. I ain't no doctor, psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, none of that. So if you got some kind of, need to speak to someone or get some medical help, I'm not that person. I'm just giving you, you know, my scenario. And the anxiety that I was feeling, a lot of that came from me, not living my truth, not, speaking up for myself, not, making choices that I know were the best choices for me. But I'm doing something in order to, yeah, be a people pleaser. Let's just make it plain and simple. Uh, I don't even like saying that word, but hey, you gotta say it. You gotta own it so that you can really, heal from it. And people pleasing will have you, accepting some crap, wanting to have somebody to do things with, or holding on to something just because it's been around a long time. I'm beyond that now. you know um and the discernment I have now is I don't have to not trust anybody, because I went through this period where I don't trust nobody, or I don't trust women, or I don't trust men. Well, who do you trust? I don't trust anybody. I trust me. you know um and it was like, in my spirit, I it was like, no, it's not meant for you to go around, not in a relationship with people and isolating yourself and not trusting people. That's not what we were designed